What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 108, and I am Adam Choit. To follow the show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube, just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. Pretty easy to find. That's the channel. Please subscribe. Please like the videos, share the videos. I appreciate that. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow me. I also have a new domain up for the podcast, TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com. It forwards to my link tree. So that's an easy way to remember how to search all things or how to get to all things related to the show. AdamChoit.com, that's all my personal stuff, my other podcast, my short film, and other things that I'm working on, my social media. Let's get into it. Let's get into today's live stream here. We are going to be recapping the band's shows. I say the band, but of course I'm referring to Tedeschi Trucks Band, the band's shows this past weekend at Chicago Theater, the Chicago Theater in Chicago, Illinois. March 17th, March 18th, I was able to hear the audio of the first show on Friday, and I did just see that the audio from the second show was posted, so I got through about 3-4 songs of that, but I haven't gotten a chance to go through all of that. But thank you, Richard Dunham. I see you are the taper for that show. If you're listening or watching this, hit me up on, I don't know, or on Facebook or Instagram or something, and let's get you on here if you want to join the conversation. But I appreciate the recording, as I appreciate the recording from Bob Hundertmark, who will be joining us momentarily, who did record Friday night's show as well. So let's get into the recaps. Oh, and also we're going to have joining us Kelly Keys, another fan, and she was at both shows, Friday and Saturday. And they're also going to be telling us a little bit about a new group that they started called Made Up Minds, a sober TTB group. So let's just get started. Here's Kelly and here's Bob. What's up?
Hi, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, you see me, you hear me. We got all the things we need for this conversation. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm tired. 2 shows is a lot for me these days.
You're in the Chicago area, Kelly?
Mm-hmm.
And Bob, you're back in Boston. Is that where you're from, in New England?
Boston, yeah, I'm in Cape Cod, actually, yeah. But
Gotcha.
I'm a Cape, but I'm a Boston guy, yeah.
What I was saying before to you guys was how much I love your backgrounds and your setups and your woman den, your woman cave, and your music. How would you describe the room you're in, Bob?
It's where all my records. My wife makes me keep all my records up here, so out of the house, So
Yeah, you have your
it's
little
kind of, I use it as
spaces.
an office. I got a turntable and some powered speakers and stuff up here, and be rocking out.
Very cool. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your backgrounds, and we'll start with Kelly, and just tell me about, like, I guess, where you grew up and some of your musical influences growing up, and we'll get into the shows soon enough, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah, so I live in the Chicagoland area now. I grew up around here, moved around for just a little while. I was in the Army and was stationed down in Georgia for a bit, and ended up back here. My musical influences were really just what my dad was listening to growing up, which was a lot of Allman Brothers. I think my favorite cassette tape when I was like in first grade was like a Steve Winwood thing. There was like a used cassette tape, CDs weren't big yet, store right behind my elementary school. And I used to go there on my own and just, go through stuff, pick out things, buy it, listen to it on my own. And throughout most of my adolescence, spent every dime that I had on new albums, checking out new art. Before we could just go on the internet and search for new artists, I was going through the used record or CD store and picking stuff out to check out. I never played anything, which I'm actually kind of grateful for now, because a lot of people that I know that play music don't get to go to as many concerts as I do because they have gigs. So that's like an added bonus for me, but I don't play anything. I just get to enjoy it.
That's a great point, actually. That I don't even really think about that, especially for even from like Tedeschi Truck's band and Derek and Susan's perspective, because like I kind of would obviously just want to see them more than any other band. But what about them? They probably would like to go to more, but they have some time off, or I don't know. When they're not on the road, they don't want to be on the road chasing other bands, I suppose, as well. So there's that. We'll get into how you got connected or into TTB shortly, but what about you, Bob? What's your kind of your musical history and a little bit about your background?
Kelly, did you tell me that you saw Derek and Susan at Joanna Connor and Kingston Mines? Was that you?
I wasn't there that night. I actually tend, whenever there's like a really good show where people are coming to town, I tend to try to not go to Kingston Mines that night because it's always an absolute madhouse. Like I was there when Joe Bonamassa was there 2 months ago, and I was like a sardine, and I was like, all right, I got like half a set in, waved goodbye to Joanna, and I was out the door.
Kingston Mines, for everybody else, is one of the blues clubs in Chicago. I haven't been there myself. It goes late into the night. There are 2 stages, etc. I haven't been there. I've been to a couple. When I get out to Chicago, I love Chicago. I hit the blues clubs out there. I like Rosa's Lounge. It's a pretty cool place. But yeah, you were talking, Adam, about what Derek and Susan do about seeing music. And last time they were out in Chicago, they went to this blues club, Kingston Mines, to see this woman, Joanna Connor, who plays Les Paul, super gritty, dirty blues, like Warren Haynes when he's getting nasty kind of music, and she's awesome. And I guess Derek and Susan are fans. But me, yeah, I grew up in New York in the 70s, and it was all about seeing the Dead and Garcia and Weir and Hot Tuna was a big one back in the 70s. They were immense. They would sell out shows in a place like the size of the Chicago Theater. They'd sell that place out, and they'd play a midnight show, and I'd be 17 going to a midnight show at the Palladium on 14th Street in New York City, and you'd get out and it'd be daylight and people were going to work. They play 7-hour shows. It's just nuts. And then I came up to New England, went to college and stuff, and kept up all the same, and I was always into the Allman Brothers. They were always big. They weren't in the Renaissance, that they were towards the end. Like in the 70s, they had, Dan Toller was playing guitar, and it's not like having Derek and Warren there. But as things go on, I was always into the Allman Brothers. I got into the Derek Trucks band, early on in the late 90s. I saw them a bunch of times, back even before Kofi was with them. They had this guy, Bill McKay, on organ, and then Kofi came along, and then Mike Madison, and that was always a great band. And honestly, I was a little upset when Tedeschi Trucks was formed, because I really loved the Derek Trucks band, and Derek would get into all the Eastern modalities and the ragas, and would really play some out there stuff, which was curtailed in the early days of the Tedeschi Trucks. But I got over that pretty quickly, and it's one of my favorite bands. I love this band, and I love to go see them. I love their live shows. I love, they check all the boxes for me, and they're, that they're good people, and they're in the right place, on all the issues, where I am. And it's just really nice to have a band that, is so deep musically, but, there were, I won't name them, but some of my musical heroes, turned out to be real jerks, what I mean? And that's kind of disheartening. But these folks are awesome, and their hearts are in the right place, and the musical heritage that they carry on is just fantastic. Obviously you got all the Allman Brothers songs, and Susan's got all her blues stuff, and but they dig deep down into all kinds of stuff, and they bring it out there. and it's all incorporated into the music. And you'll hear, even Friday night, I'm hearing the ragas coming out of Derek's guitar, and it's just great. And they come to Boston, and they play Boston music, and and Susan will interject in, what is it, I Pity the Fool, or one of those songs, and she's throwing in Boston references about bars on Mass Ave, Wally's on Mass Ave, and stuff, and everybody just cracks up. So
Yeah, no,
I
for
just
sure.
love the band, and the sound. They pay real attention to the sound, and they pay the extra money. They play these small places, they'll play 4 nights in a small place rather than 1 or 2 nights in a big place. And the sound is awesome, and Bobby Tiz, and the front of house guys does an awesome job. And I was talking to Kelly, I was down in the first row. Yeah, that's another thing, the Swamp Family, right? I won the lottery, and I'm first row right in front of and Derek, I eyeball right to his amps. It was fantastic. And meanwhile, there's a big discrepancy out here. The Cure just sold tickets, and they tried to keep ticket prices low at $20, but the service charges were $21. So the freaking Ticketmaster's charging more in service charges than the price of the ticket. And these lottery tickets, the service charge was $2. $2. Ticket was like 170, but the service charge, which was great. I'm happy to pay it, but so they do all the things right, and they play the music I love, and they do it well. So
Good stuff. All it's interesting to hear you say, like, you talk about how some musicians and some of your musical idols or whatever turned out to be jerks. Was that something that you kind of discovered just through watching them and reading about these people who were not always saints off the stage, or was it actually, or did you come to these conclusions more from like don't meet your heroes kind of like thing, where it's like
both,
a little bit of both,
both, like the information comes out in articles and interviews and biographies and stuff like that, and but I've actually met some of these guys and wish that I hadn't, what I mean, and they just kind of really turned out to be not very nice people in my mind, where I've met other artists and heroes of mine who are warm and genuine and regular, and and it's just shocking how ordinary they are, and that they, I don't know, just simple everyday, or they come across as just normal people, but when they're up there, it's that they're superheroes.
Yeah, the sound is otherworldly. It's a superhero sound. What about you, Kelly? How did you kind of discover and get into TTB?
Again, through my dad, seeing them at a guitar festival, at Eric Clapton's guitar festival, and kind of telling me about it. And I started kind of branching off on my own and checking more stuff out on the internet. And I really wasn't following them until the band was formed. So I wasn't, one of the many kind of disappointed or very apprehensive fans of both, Susan Tedeschi's solo artist and the Derek Trucks band. I came into it like kind of at the birth of the band, which is a neat perspective, for me. It's unique from a bunch of other fans, but I'm also
kind of like not to cut you off. That is kind of like my perspective as well. Like getting in there right when they were from. Like I knew of Derek for sure, and heard of Susan, but like I didn't really follow or get into the music until like they formed the band. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't know. It's another thing that I'm grateful for is that I got to that, and now I get to go, like back in the catalog. And listen to even more stuff that Mike is taking lead on vocals on, which is awesome. It's funny, when Gabe joined the band, I didn't know that he was with them because I wasn't following everything very closely, and I stumbled upon their show in New Orleans, and Gabe was singing the whole. I'm like, I know that voice, and it was some guy that I had downloaded some, I probably on LimeWire years ago,
I'll edit that out.
I was like, it sounds so familiar. And then I'm like looking stuff up on the break and I'm like, oh, I love that guy. Like I forgot. And so now like, I'm even more excited that that's, all part of the Tedeschi Trucks band that I know and that I'm current with. Because I think he brings such a different thing to the band too. Yeah. And, it started of, oh, well, I'm going to see them every time they're in town. And now it's, well, I'm going to see them every time that I can like drive there for like a good day trip. And now it's like, I'm going to see them literally every night that I can drive to or find a reasonable flight to go see them. It's been kind of evolving.
Kelly and I have beleaguered spouses, right, who don't share our mania, shall we say, but they live with it,
How many shows have you been to, Kelly?
I haven't counted.
Estimated.
My wife was like last year, she's like, well, you went to like 4 shows last year. And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, I already have 6 for this year booked. So I will see what I end up with for this year.
So you've been to a few dozen, it sounds like,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I got you. And Bob, you've probably been to. I don't know. I feel like more in my head, in my mind, it's more just.
Probably not. I don't know. I just looked at archive and I've got, I don't know, like 23 shows up there that I recorded. So it's funny. I was talking to somebody in Chicago about this, that, for a while my wife was like, do you have to go to all 4 Boston shows? I'm like, oh man, and it's like, it's a good thing, she didn't know me when Garcia was alive. Right. But so we're out with another couple, and the guy who I'm friends with is a sports fan, a Red Sox fan, and Cindy, my wife, is like, I just don't understand why he has to go to all 4 shows, and the other couple's like looking at me like, yeah, why do you have to go to all 4 shows? And I was like, well, Mike, if the Red Sox were in the playoffs, right, and you could go to every game, if you could go to all 5 games, would you go? I said, of course. And I was like, it's like the same thing.
Because it's
except
different.
Your team always wins.
There's that too, yeah. There's that. You always feel good leaving the venue.
Yeah.
And during the entire thing, even though you have different emotional moments, but
right.
There's no lows. It's a different kind of an emotional wave that you're riding. When your team blows a lead in the 8th inning, it's a different kind of low and a different kind of emotion than when they're playing Midnight in Harlem or Just Won't Burn or whatever the case may be. I want one more question, then we're gonna get into the venue and into the shows. Do you guys are you guys musicians? Do you play any music? Do you sing or anything like that? Any sort of no? You're just fans, and you guys just
avid live music fan.
Yeah,
it's the same.
Yeah, he collects his own audio, and you collect posters.
Yep.
I got you. Cool. Well, let's get in. Tell me about the venue. I guess we'll get into kind of. You were both there Friday, so tell me about Arrival and just the whole vibe of the thing, and I'll kind of let you guys steer a little bit, and then I'll pull up the set list and maybe some pictures, and we'll dig in.
She knows it better than me, Kelly, but we stayed. I flew in from Boston and my son flew out too, and we just stayed right around the corner. So it was nice. But I don't know, Kelly. You know any of the history? When we were leaving, they had one of those walking tours, and somebody was in front there talking about Al Capone having some interest in the theater or something. I don't know. I missed it.
I don't know that specific part of the history. They actually have like a backstage tour that I've been trying to get into for some years now. I want to take my kids to it, and I think they just kind of got it going again. It was obviously off, for COVID and that whole thing. But after I do that, then Adam, I can come on and tell you about more of the history of the Chicago theater after they play there again next year. Beautiful theater. Living in Chicago, I feel like I'm there like every other week. Whether it's a comedian or a band, or I've seen like the Cirque du Soleil Christmas show there. We, go downtown for Thanksgiving a lot and see the parade and do the whole holiday thing. I don't know how they've kept up with it so well. I don't ever remember a time when it wasn't beautiful. It's just, I guess I'm really spoiled and lucky to have it there, and to be, my regular theater that I go to.
Very cool.
It's
Yeah.
it's now it's owned by the MSG folks, the Dolans there. So same people that run the Beacon Theater run that place, and that's kind of a mixed blessings, I guess. They do a good job running it and keeping it up, etc. But they have I confirmed with the ushers they had no facial recognition in there, but we have those issues in New York, right? With the MSG network, right?
And it means you're buying your seats from Ticketmaster every time too.
Yeah,
which is kind of a bummer, but yeah, it's a beautiful theater. I hope it always stays that way. I hope it's somewhere. I love that poster there with the Chicago Theater on it. There was someone looking for that poster on one of the fan groups on Facebook, and it was like a very sentimental thing, and my heart kind of went out, to the woman. I was like, oh, I could give up one poster, if it really means something to them, and she's offering me like hundreds of dollars. And I was like, the more I thought about it, after I'd already kind of reached out to her, I'm like, is this the one that you're looking for? I was like, I don't think I could give the one up that has the Chicago Theater print on it. Like, I love it too much. We ended up finding the artist that printed it, and he had unreleased copies. So she was able to get one from him, and I didn't have to give mine up. Like, thank you. But yeah, it's just gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. We have a couple of nice places like that in Boston, like the Wang Theater, but I think Chicago's got us beat on this one. It's beautiful in there, really nice, and really well preserved.
They love these downtown historic venues and theaters. That's right up there. They're out.
Yeah, but I don't want to see them at the United Center. I don't.
You do or you don't.
Like, I'll still go, but it'll break my heart. Like, I don't want to go to the arena to see them. I love even them at the Sanger, where I saw them in New Orleans. Again, just another similarly beautiful, old, historic theater. I feel like I'm going to see them at the Fabulous Fox this summer.
You're going there?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Which Fox is that? Which Fox?
Fabulous Fox in St. Louis.
Okay, I know, because there's a few different.
I think.
Yeah.
Nicest of those old theaters. It's jaw-droppingly beautiful, that place. I have not been there. I put in for the lottery for it, and I didn't get tickets.
Yeah, there's a few different Fox theaters.
Fabulous Fox in St. Louis, gorgeous.
The fabulous one. Should we get into the set list a little bit and talk
sure.
the music? Let's do that. Let's see if I got it here. Look at that here. Night 1, set 1.
You got the real set list. There you go.
I took screen grabs from their Instagram stories, I think, is how I got this one.
Really?
The
band puts those up on Instagram?
On their stories, I think they usually put the set lists. I think they archive them too in their Instagram highlights as well. I know too much. I know all the important things.
Yeah.
Some people are really like set list, not junkies. Like, what's the word? Like set list file people. Like, they really know. Are you that way? Do you know every single like kind of?
No.
I've broad knowledge, but not to insane details. But
I mean, I took a look at this set list, and it's a pretty common set list. And in fact, I think they played it. They played a very similar, if not identical, set list in the last year's Boston run, and they also played it in DC. One of those 6 shows I think they played in DC was this same first set.
Yeah,
not that I'm complaining. I love that.
Yeah. But Hear my dear, fall in, I am the moon, circles around the sun, Pasquan just won't burn. I can't make you love me, I think is that one. Reading for the audio listeners as well. But
almost Susan can make us love her. So they had to change the lyrics for that instead of can't.
Gotta rewrite the song.
Yeah, there's often mistakes on the set list, typos and stuff, but they're funny. Maybe some of them are. I'm beginning to think maybe they're done on purpose as inside jokes. potentially. As long as the band knows what song they're playing, I guess it doesn't really matter. But we can jump around. We could go song by song. We do have 4 sets to get through, but we'll just kind of have a casual conversation about the music. So I'll kind of let you guys steer a little bit. But here, my dear, like I love hearing the Crescent album, and it's always it works. That's why they do these set lists.
Yeah, they did Crescent on the Wheels of Soul, at least for the stop that I saw them at in the Chicagoland area over the summer. And when I realized that that's what they were doing, like at the beginning of Fall In, I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. It was like, I liked it because I was able to just really tune in and enjoy it. And I wasn't like, oh, what's coming next? Or, like I kind of knew what it was. So I was able to just really absorb and be a part of it, which was neat. And then so excited that Just Won't Burn was next. Again, having not followed Susan as much as some other fans did, before the band became what it is now. I'm getting to love that song for the first time.
That might have been my favorite song of the whole night. I mean, that was really, yeah. I love that song in general, but oh yeah, she just and it's unhurried, and it builds, and it's just, and she, she's learned at the feet of the greats, right? She's was friends with BB King and all those guys, and she's got her own, like Derek, there's the natural talent they have. There's the book learning and the listening that they've done, and but they've also the transmission, like say in the Buddhist tradition, right, where there's a transmission of the knowledge from one person to another directly, and she's got that going too, for sure. And she's got the blues down, man, and that's just a tremendous. Just Won't Burn, but that song does burn. It's a slow burn, and it I love it.
Slow burn is the phrase that keeps going around in my head as well. That the feeling of a slow burn, and like this is a song they've been playing fairly often, but I just can imagine when Susan gets out there in a new city and plays this song, it's impossible almost for her to not be like super engaged emotionally and with the crowd playing this, because everyone is so into it, and it's just such a, like you're saying, a slow burn that just builds and builds. And she has taken a lot of these styles from BB King and her blues influences and training and history, and like what comes out is her own unique sound as well. I do this once in a while, but I've been trying to dig up guitar lessons in the style of Susan Tedeschi, really. I don't know if anyone of Marty Music or Michael Palmisano, past guest of this show, I should nudge him to do that, to do a lesson in the style of Susan would be cool, because I haven't seen too much of that, and that would be fun for me. I'm going on tangents here, but
you used a phrase that hit the nail on the head for me, is emotional engagement, and this band is emotionally engages the crowd, and everybody's just bought into it, and everybody is present and open and available for what happens, and it is, there is that emotional engagement for sure with this particular band that I don't find with a lot of other bands, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was saying I heard this whole set, so I know how awesome all these songs were, and I think, jumping ahead, we did get I think an Idle Wind I think, did it close out the second set before the encore? So I don't know how often they do Passaquan and Idle Wind in the same sets. I don't know if that's too often thing, but we got some incredible rhythmic drum duets like in this evening, and like I just get so into that. I don't know. It's something about like I know drum solos can be. It's almost like a cliche to make fun of them. I'm gonna go to the bathroom when the drum solo is. If you're not like a drummer yourself, like people don't get into people appreciate it, but it's not usually people's favorite part of of a rock show per se. But like with the rhythmic drumming between these two guys, it's just I keep saying they're telling stories. It's a narrative. It's a conversation. It's a back and forth. It's a call and response. It's teamwork. It's spiritual. It's catchy. It's I don't know. I love what Falcon and Isaac do on Passaquan and Idlewind especially.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, you always have people chatting a little bit around you, especially on a Passaquan or an Idle Wind. And when they get into it with the drums and the call and answer, that's when they kind of stop talking and look at the stage like, oh my God, like they can't help but turn towards it and focus on it. That's really neat to see too.
Yeah, I saw someone posted something about like because you always have talkers and you're trying to get people to quiet down. And what I found helps a little bit. It does not cure it or work entirely, but shushing. If you shush people, there's something about shushing.
I was going to say that during I Can't Make You Love Me was the first time that I heard shushing and like complete obedience afterwards. Like somebody started talking and it wasn't even very loud, like compared to what you normally hear. And like 3 or 4 people turned around and shh. And that person was quiet for the rest of the song, didn't make a peep. And everyone in the area was just glued to the stage.
People are easily defensive, get defensive easily. So something about shushing is a little bit more like, and it's not as loud as yelling, Shay, shut up, because then you're just being loud yourself.
Yeah.
Now you're making noise too.
I thought about bringing like a little flashlight and just like shining it on people who are talking, but I don't think they'd appreciate that very much.
This guy here in Boston, he's a photographer. He used to tape, and he has little business cards made up, and it says that it's black and it's in white letters, and it says hi in big letters, and then in smaller letters, it's like, I didn't come here and pay $150 for the seat, to listen to you talk about, whatever. And there's a couple of expletives in there. And he gave me a handful once and I handed them out. And I was afraid that, I'd get smacked, but they seem to work, I don't know, Adam, I tried to share a screen here. I don't know if you can see it.
Is that you there? Let me see what we got here.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I got your pictures, but I got a couple.
Talking about the drum solos, yeah. So we got 2, right? But they spice it up a little bit. Let Kebby get up there, and the Quippies, the equipment crew, they bring out a microphone for Kebby, and he gets up there and blows, and it was awesome. I said he's like Animal from the Muppet Show, and I mean that as the highest compliment. In that he's great. I love him.
Do you know if this was this during Passaquan or Idlewind? Because he does. I think it's maybe Passaquan before.
I think this was Idlewind. I'll tell you in a minute. It would be that would have been Idlewind at the end, because these are my pictures and that's like one of the last photos. So. Yeah.
I didn't want to share your email or anything personal stuff pulled up, so I disconnected it there. No. It's all good. Anything else on the set one here we want to discuss? I love Fallen. I don't use phrases like favorite song, but it is something that I've been kind of playing on repeat a lot for myself, more than maybe anything that's from this band these days, for whatever reason. Just so catchy. I think it just makes you feel good. The song makes you feel good. Is that fair a way to describe it?
Yeah, it's got a real good vibe to it. It's definitely been a standout for me from the whole release.
It juxtaposes so well with "I Am the Moon," the song live and on the album, just because like it's kind of the total opposite, but also in a great profound way. It's kind of a heartbreaking song in a lot of ways, and maybe the most. Well, you got Just Won't Burn. I Can't Make You. It's a good balance between the upbeat, the psychedelic, and the slow blueses and the emotional stuff. What a great set. No wonder they do it. They've done it before. Let's get the next.
I think they did it the first night of that set list, the first night of the Boston run, and we were all convinced that there was 4 nights in Boston, and we were all convinced they were going to do each first set was going to be one of them, one of the albums, but didn't work out that way. But that was the rumor after the first night. So.
Yeah, that's the chatter in Chicago right now.
Oh, really? Wow.
There we go. Set 2. Anyhow, Chevrolet, la-di-da. Done somebody wrong. Let me get by. Did it disappear? Let me get by. Gilded Splinters. Bell Bottom Blues. Why does love gotta be so sad? Don't think twice. It's all right. Idle Wind, and then Made Up Mind for the encore. I knew that they were going to play La Di Da because she always talks about how it's her Irish drinking song, and it was St. Patrick's Day Friday night. So I kind of had that thought in my head, and now I think is maybe a good time where we can talk a little bit about your sober TTB group, Made Up Mind. So my thought was when I was looking at these 2 sets was, did they play Made Up Mind for you guys, and did they play La Di Da for St. Patrick's Day, or have that thought in mind? And to get a Don't Think Twice and I Can't Make You Love Me in the same show, what is this band trying to do to me? I mean, what are they trying to do to me by putting those 2 songs, one in each set? Really emotional stuff. But tell us about Made Up Minds. I'll let you guys have the floor for that.
Kelly.
Well, Bob is a little bit more familiar with the history of groups like this, that I'm just young and naive, and I've been to countless festivals and oh no, Derek. Countless festivals and concerts, and must have always just walked right past the table with the yellow balloons on it with everybody who was remaining sober for the night. Because of course it didn't matter to me until I retired from my drinking career a couple of years ago, and recently realized that these kind of things exist, and that these kind of like sober fan bases are a thing, and that they have a presence at shows and hang out before the show, during the set break, and kind of provide a sober oasis, if you will, for people to feel normal about not drinking while watching their favorite band play. And I really have no desire to be like running anything, but I want this group to exist so badly that I kind of hit the ground running with it. And people like Bob have been really helpful. And like Bob was basically holding my hand going into the venue on Friday night, brought the balloons, had stickers made, and kind of showing me the ropes on some of this. And I've also had some other people reach out to me since we've begun our presence online, and people who are active in like the Fellowship or the Wharf Rats or the D-Bags, if you will, the Dusty Baggies, the Billy Strings group, and people who have a lot more experience doing this than I do, that are hopefully going to be taking the lead at some of the shows that I can't go to.
There you go. I pulled up a photo of what you got. One of your where to go there? I think it'll come back in a second there.
I'll say your lack of experience did not show for a second. And, Kelly's a force, and really, she saw a need and maybe a need for herself, and nobody else was filling it, and she stepped up, and bang, she opened up this private group on Facebook, and inside of 2 weeks she had like 180 people signed up, and she said she was gonna be in Chicago, and I said, hey, I'm gonna be in Chicago. And I mean, I'm not like a big wharf rat kind of person either, but I've hung out at the tables in the past, and it's a safe place. And a lot of people are afraid, especially in early sobriety, a lot of people are afraid to come to a show. Or Kelly told me about, somebody told her that they'll come to the show, but they'll stay in their seat at set break because they're afraid to get up. and you know, and go somewhere. And this is a safe place where you can go, and you know, and Kelly's got Tootsie Rolls there, and you know, it's
Yeah,
a good time. It's
I
my
got
son James there.
plenty of the second night. I still don't know if I was supposed to. The staff at the Chicago Theater was really, really, really helpful. As soon as they saw us start blowing up the balloons, they knew exactly what was going on. They, I think, understood the whole process better than Bob and I did.
We did, yeah.
Because they kind of guided us up to the mezzanine and provided us with a table and a tablecloth. And so the next night, when I was coming in, I had like a Jewel Osco bag full of candy, and the security guard's looking at me, and I was like, "Oh, no, it's for the sober group." And he was like, and then just let me go. And he was saying to himself too, it said no food or beverage, you know. But one of those kind of ask for forgiveness situations.
You guys are funny. You guys are funny because there's a sign that says no recording audio or video, and then you got Bob, and then you got no food, no outside food, and you got Tootsie Rolls. So you guys are kind of rebellious for a couple of sober types. You guys are pretty rebellious, but for real, that is a great venture, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I think a lot of people appreciate it and are going to appreciate this. And really, any culture and subculture or organization where like people meet and there's drinking involved, it's like there should be that option. Like, so it's really great that you did step up, and I hope that you're able to continue and this thing grows and succeeds in whatever ways that you envision. And I will be checking up on you and supporting in whatever I can, in whatever way I can, even if it's just messaging you saying, how's the group going? Hope it's going well. And even just that, but really, I do hope it becomes a thing, and I think it will become more of a thing, and maybe even like at other shows in other cities that you're not at. Is that like tell me more about maybe I mean, maybe you don't, it's okay if you don't have any specific hardcore. Show me your business model and your plan. Do you have like a binder of your weekly reports?
PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, do you have a PowerPoint presentation that you could share with us? No, but yeah, you can just anything else you want to share about the program, then we'll dive back into the music.
Yeah, I mean, right now I guess I'm just beginning to understand everything that I will need for the program. You know, people were coming up to the table last night and they were like, well, where's your donation jar? And I was like, oh yeah, we need a donation jar. You know, because Bob's buying these stickers. I've been, you know, just buying signage and all these things. My wife's like, same way she does for all my poster and concert ticket purchases, you know, do you get it, you know, just buy it. It makes you happy. You're doing this now. It's fine. But yeah, like we should have a little donation jar there. And I know that a lot of people aren't on Facebook. So I made an email address for us, you know, madeupmindstTB@gmail.com. And I'm going to start, you know, publicizing that in places like the, you know, Swap Family forum and places that other fans who might be interested in this, who aren't on Facebook. It's kind of like a necessary evil for a lot of these things. But the people that joined the Facebook group initially have been really, really, really helpful. And I did put a little bit of thought into it, but like I was very quickly trying to add like moderators. As soon as people started joining, I was like, moderator request, moderator, you know, like, guys, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing with any of this. We all have to do this together because I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just been kind of working out so far. So I hope that that continues.
Awesome job, Kelly. I'm really impressed. Really great.
Very cool. Made Up Minds, and right now the best way is just either the Gmail to follow along or on Facebook, Made Up Minds. Just search Made Up Minds group essentially.
Yep.
He's holding up the logo there.
Yeah.
One more question, and I guess this is more or less for people like myself. It's like, should people who are not, you know, living a sober lifestyle join the Facebook group, or is it it's an honest question, or is it better off where it's just more people who want to be who need to be part of the group, you know, should kind of have it be their own thing, like, and I'm fine with either, you know, it's all good.
Well, I mean, I feel like if someone is wanting to join the group and they're not currently living a sober lifestyle, maybe they're curious about it. And in that case, I would say absolutely join and see that we're still having fun and we're still going to shows and remembering the show and not having to miss it. Bob gets to tape the whole thing and doesn't have to leave during the show because he doesn't have to refill his drink and he doesn't have to run to the bathroom. We're just trying to include as many fans as we can who are interested in what we're doing and want to be part of it and providing a safe space for people to be at shows.
Very cool. Well, I'm happy and excited to support in whatever way I can. Let's get into the rest of the music here. What jumped out at you guys from night 1, set 2? As we're getting there, we're moving along slowly, but
Susan calling the transition from Anyhow to Chevrolet was pretty good. Usually it's Derek with the nod or the wink, but Susan called that split second transition where they jump right from Anyhow to Chevrolet, and I was really happy to see that those songs. I haven't seen Chevrolet in a while, the Taj Mahal.
I don't think I ever have.
Yeah.
That was cool. Do you guys feel like Susan's she's always been confident and she's always been a major presence on stage, but I feel like since she got that Smithsonian award, she is just
gotta agree.
You can't help but to notice it's like she got extra superpowers.
Maybe
demands control.
I've seen it a couple of times on her guitar playing her solos where maybe I don't want to say she went through a stop sign, but went through an orange light maybe.
I gotta tell you, nobody loves it more than Derek.
Right.
Yes.
When Susan blows out a guitar solo, he's got the biggest smile in the house.
Yeah, we got a comment here. Terra Nova T, it's extremely appreciated. The taping, the candy, sobriety for the win. Appreciate that. Scott Conacher, great job. Kelly and Bob, so much appreciated.
Thanks,
you guys got support out there and responding to something we were talking about earlier. Your team always wins. Love that. This weekend has been a bummer with my Kansas Jayhawks losing in March Madness. I did pick them in my TT bracket. Do you guys do the TTB bracket? I'm like 400th out of 500, which is not very good. I never lose with TTB. Dan Leftwich, thank you for the comments, guys. This is a stellar set list. You get everything at these shows, like you mentioned at the top of this podcast, Bob.
Gilded Splinters was awesome. Susan had a wah-wah solo in there, which was just tremendous. That was one of my favorites.
The place shake? Did it shake? I hear it shakes during Gilded Splinters.
Yeah.
We had shaking the build. That's an old place. I'm sure that it was rattling around despite maybe some renovations over the years.
Yeah. But that's a carryover, from Allman Brothers. You say it's a Dr. John song, obviously. The Allman Brothers did it. I don't think, Mike sings it, but I can't recall ever seeing Derek Trucks Band play it, but it was definitely a big Allman Brothers number. And I love the swampy voodoo stuff going on in that, and they get that down.
That's a good way to describe it. I'm going to steal that one for future reference. Swampy voodoo. Tribal is another word that kind of comes out almost like a chant in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Idle Wind was this is an epic journey. Sometimes I'm listening to these songs and I'm engaged in listening, but I'm also almost being pulled along, and my mind is going to all these different places. Even outside of the music related to my life, I go on these emotional journeys, connecting the music to things in my life, even on something like Idle Wind. It's just I don't know. I love all these songs. There's just such a narrative to them.
The Dominoes medley there was also great, and again, that's a transmission thing, like the old Buddhist concept of transmission. It's coming from, it's in the bloodline, baby, right? It comes from Dwayne, all the way down the line. Derek, and and it's just awesome, really good.
Yeah, I
love
feel like whenever they do the Derek the Dominoes stuff, he's I don't know if it's like coming home for him. Like he was named after
Yeah.
the band.
Right.
So
Sus-
so even more so than like his own material when they do an old, Derek Trucks Band song, it feels like that's like his comfort space because that's what he used to fall asleep listening to when he was younger,
Yeah, I forget almost like how much Derek and the band, but especially Derek, probably or must really love all these Derek and the Domino songs. He really loves playing the songs and loves the song. Because sometimes I think to myself, oh, maybe they're just playing them because that's what Tedeschi Trucks Band does. We're expecting to hear it. We're like he's doing it because the fans are expecting it. And maybe that is a part of it, but I really think that like he loves playing these Allman Brothers songs. He loves
it.
playing the Derek and the
Derek,
Domino
yeah.
stuff, especially since now he's with his own band doing his own thing with a ton of originals where he's not obligated to play, only Allman Brothers music or what Allman Brothers did. He can do mostly TTB stuff or all kinds of, covers.
He's
For
gotten to
sure.
play that Dwayne's Layla, the Gibson Gold Les Paul Gold Top from the Layla album, the guitar that Dwayne Allman played on the Layla album, makes appearances, occasionally. I've seen it. Yeah, he did. That was pretty good. But yeah, they brought because that guitar's in the Big House Museum, down in Atlanta.
I was there last year.
Yeah, good for you. I've never been. But they pull it out, and I've seen it in Boston. I've seen it at the Beacon. And that's kind of special too, seeing a guitar like that, in person, and then seeing it in Derek's hands. And I don't think I've seen him play a Derek and the Dominoes song, but I've seen him play with the Allman Brothers and that Dwayne's Gold Top. It's pretty cool.
Kelly, you might not be aware. I feel like if you were aware of this, or maybe you forgot, you probably would have mentioned. But in addition to Derek being named after the album Derek and the Dominoes, the Layla album, Susan was born on the day the album was released. What was it? November. I think it was November. Was it November 9th, 1970? It was definitely 1970. When was Layla released? Yeah,
Real deep dive,
1970.
guys.
What's that?
This is a real deep dive.
No,
Yeah.
they no September 9th, 1970.
Adam's got one of those boards with the strings and the push pins on it, and he's
Like that meme. That meme with the guy with all the was it at Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
What about anything else about this set? I know Mark was awesome on Made Up Mind. Don't Think Twice is always an emotional journey. Let Me Get By is always a triumphant song, is how I describe it. Happy to see it in any set, for sure. You get your Allman Brothers with the Done Somebody Wrong, and Gabe and Susan. I think they traded verses on that. I believe they trade verse. They do. They share. Just good stuff all
I've
around.
never seen Idle Wind in the show closing slot. Last song, second set. I think that was the first time I've seen that.
They had to
I'm sure they've
separate
done
it
it
from.
before, but
They had to keep it far from Passaquan, and
Right.
kind of towards the end of the first set, and then that one towards the end of the second set. It's too emotionally exhausting and tiring, probably for the drummers especially, to have those two songs close to each other. Just
oh, they got some stamina. I don't know.
oh
It's all
yeah,
short, those
no,
guys.
I hugged Tyler Falcon after one of those Fox shows, Atlanta shows last year, and he was sweaty as fuck. I will say that.
He comes from Susan's band, I think, right?
I think he's out of
Tedeschi band.
It's more from the Atlanta, is it the Colonel Bruce, I think, scene.
Oh,
and all
everybody's
that.
from there, right?
Right. Mhm.
Everybody.
Yep. All right, we're gonna get to night 2 here. You were not there though, Bob.
I was not there.
I was not. Oh, this is set 2. I got the wrong one here. All right, we're We're going to get the right one here. I was like, starting the night with Until You Remember. Now let's get the right one up. Night 2, set 1. Bear with me here, everyone out there. All right, we're going to get this going. We got Playing With My Emotions. We got Ain't That Something. We got All the Love. We got Part of Me. Where My Friends, Outside Woman Blues, Joyful Noise, Gravity, and Yes We Will. Well, the floor is yours, Kelly.
Yeah, I hope you guys very this part. I was a little bit in and out of the theater because I was trying to catch the attention of the venue manager to discuss 2 weeks from now. But I was excited about every song that they started playing. Songs like Gravity and Ain't That Something, more, I don't want to say poppy, but more, some of the more catchy songs, that Gabe has been part of the songwriting process on. Songs that my kids are asking to listen to, that I haven't been able to see live yet. That was really, really fun for me to see those. And I'm glad that they did that. I hope I get to see that again, possibly a week from now or 2 weeks from now. I don't have anything bad to say.
Yeah, those are great.
Part of Me, is the song that is special to my wife and I. So I love seeing that there. And I've seen that at the Chicago Theater by them quite a few times now, and that always hits home.
I was thinking of the Jackson 5 in that song. It's such a dancing tune, and I can't help myself in that.
The riff is kind of Sam and Dave, Soul Man-ish,
Yeah,
a little bit of that vibe to it, certainly.
I love that
for sure. I love Gabe's style and that kind of pop sensibility that you were referring to that he brings to the band, and that is such a great balance with. And I never even really thought of it in these terms, but I think with Mike's songwriting and what Mike brings to the table, which is something very totally different and more, I use the word quirky a lot. And although his songs are catchy and grow on you fast and have grown on me fast, as have all TTB songs, but there's definitely a contrast between their voices, what they can do vocally, and what they bring to the table with their songwriting, especially with Gabe's more, I guess, pop sensibilities and some of Mike's more just out there sort of ideas musically, even with something with Where My Friends is all of his songs are, I feel in some ways, a departure from not a departure from the TTB sound, but his own unique thing certainly is brought to the table with Mike and Gabe too in his own way. So I just love what they bring to the band, both of them. I think
that's one of the things that's so special about this newest release is that people can tell that it's the same band because it's being executed so well. When you go from song to song. But if I have the music on and somebody's unfamiliar with the band and they're like, "This is the same band that was on 5 minutes ago," because they each song, depending on who wrote it, depending on who's singing, depending on who's taking leads on stuff, has its own flavor. And for it to all somehow match and be part of the same thing is really, really awesome. For me, there's no other bands, I think, that are releasing work like that, at least that a young person like myself, I say.
No, I don't think so at all. And it makes me think about how if I'm going to send this band's music to friends or family or people who are not as super familiar with all things Tedeschi Trucks Band, I'll think about what music they like, what their favorite stuff is, what they like to listen to. And I'm like, let me think about what TTB songs I should send to this person. Maybe they're more into the jammy stuff or come for more of that thing. Let's send them a Passequan. I think that's more up their alley. Oh, they like female vocalists and singer-songwriter stuff. Let's send them a Susan-centric ballad or something like that. Or I got a buddy who's a hardcore blues guy. So I'm like, I'm gonna send him I Pity the Fool or something like that, or one of the blues
Yes We
covers.
Will.
Right, yeah, or Yes We Will, or one of the BB King covers, or Sky is Crying, or something like that. So there's like really something for everyone. And I think once a fan sort of, it's like with anything, like it sort of gives you permission to like, not gives you permission, but like it does kind of gives your brain permission and your musical taste permission to love other things related to the band. Like it's almost like a band it's like a crossover with itself, if that makes any sense.
Totally.
No, this is a great set. Outside Woman Blues. Like I was saying before, I only got up to Part of Me. So like I cannot wait to dig into the music. I'll probably do that as soon as I'm done with you guys. But Outside Woman Blues, I'm sure that was amazing with Susan and Derek going back and forth. That's on my cardio. That's on one of my workout ones. Like real upbeat gets me. I got my cardio song. Make me a Tedeschi. I should make a Tedeschi Trucks Band exercise list. Some of the more upbeat stuff.
I would follow that. I would use that at the gym. Absolutely. Yeah, I know Outside One was great. With them going back and forth. My wife was actually really excited. You were talking about before how nobody enjoys watching Susan riff more than Derek. And for last night's show, I was on the other side of the auditorium than I was before. So I had like almost full view of Derek's face, watching her for all of those moments. And while I was forcing her to watch videos this morning that I took, she was commenting about that and how cool that was.
That is cool.
We got a comment here. Richard Dunham, the man of the second night, the man of night 2. Hey, glad you appreciate my recording. Thanks for the shout out. If you want to join the conversation, you're more than welcome to. I can send you a link somewhere.
Nice job, Richard. You got the Neumann Cam 184s. Those are some good microphones. I like the sound of those.
Taper Talk. Are you guys all part of a community? Is there? Because
I don't know, Richard. I don't. We have definitely taper communities. I don't know him personally.
Y'all got to share notes. You, Ed Gendelman. We got Alex Leary. A few others around. You guys are heroes. You're all welcome.
Boston has a hardcore. Like there are 3 guys, including myself, who bring high quality rigs to every show there. At least 3. There's Jim Kelly, and they all have different approaches. Like say Jim Kelly likes to record from the mezzanine, and then I like to be down front, FOB down in the trenches there, and we got Rory Van Ark, and he's kind of down there with me, but he uses Kelly and I both use Sheps, and Rory uses Gaffel microphones, hypercardioid. So they're all different flavors, different approaches, and we do that because we like our own kind of flavor, and it's great. And we also have the Less Than Face guys in Boston. I don't know if you've looked them up on YouTube, but they do tremendous videos, and then they'll either like take my audio, or there's an old school taper, Casey Conniff, who's from Vermont originally. He'll record the audio for them, and they sync it up, and it's absolutely amazing. So if you look up Less Than Face on YouTube, they got the Tedeschi trucks. Oh man, check that out. Adam, you haven't seen those?
There's sometimes where somebody will post a video of something, even if it's not specifically Tedeschi trucks, even if it's Derek jumping in with somebody, and I'll get excited already about the 3 or 4 days from now when Less Than Face is going to release their video of it, because the sound is awesome. I'll put it on in my car, and rock out.
See, the sound is awesome because they use a taper. They use like a good stereo pair, and then they sync it up to the video that they shoot. So they don't use the video from the cameras, and they'll do like 2 camera shoots. Dean and Harris will be running the cameras, and Casey's got they're all in 3 different locations in the venue, and I think
I have seen those. I now that rings a bell. I probably saw, because I did. Would they do that for the Orpheum shows? Did they?
Yeah, they do.
A couple things popped up. Yeah, I do remember. I'm like, this is not professionally like shot, but it's also better than
Yeah,
the
not
average.
some guy with his iPhone. Yeah,
exactly.
It's not me in the back. Holding my phone up in the back corner so I'm not in anybody's way, and then watching the stage and realizing that I'm now pointing it at the floor and putting it back up.
Hey, I appreciate it all. Whatever people shares, I appreciate it. Anything else here on night 2, set 1 here before we move on to the second set? Speak now or forever hold your. What, all the
Outside
love
Woman
is awesome.
Blues.
What's that?
Outside Woman Blues. First time I saw that, I was pretty shocked because, my it's an old blues tune, but my exposure to it was one of those early Cream albums. I don't know if it's on Disraeli Gears or it's Eric Clapton Cream. It's and a lot of people will recognize it for that. So Adam, when you got an old grizzled classic rock guy from the '60s, you send them that and they'll be impressed. Yeah.
Right. All the love is super cool. I love anything that has a psychedelic feel to it,
Yeah.
and the message. All we don't often talk about the lyrics, and sometimes they're open to interpretation, which makes them better in a lot of ways too. But like, yeah, I love just the overall message of this band. Just like very positive, not Pollyannish, but very just positive. They're a positive band, and you walk out of the venue after a show, feeling better about yourself and maybe even a little bit more hopeful in some tiny way. And that's always needed in this crazy world, for sure.
Absolutely true that they do engender hope for the future a lot of times, especially like Susan will go off on some rant in the Orpheum at the end of the year about everybody's got to be good to each other, everybody's got to love each other, take care of each other, etc. Which is you don't get that from a lot of bands, and she means it.
No, you can tell she means it when she gets going.
And we hear it, and we feel it and we act on it. So.
Certainly. Here we got night 2, set 2, Until You Remember, Signs, Do I Look Worried, Midnight in Harlem, Shame, Everybody's Got to Change Sometime. We got Angel from Montgomery, I Want More, and Space Captain with some edits, it looks like. Signs, High Times, we haven't had that one. Or Signs, High Times? We haven't had that one in a minute. Maybe we've had it once in 20 this year. I'm not sure, but not too often this year. But yeah, Until You Remember, they play that song just the right amount live. They just know when. It just seems like just following what their set lists and their shows and a lot of all the audio that comes out. It seems like it's never gone away, but it's always like a nice surprise anytime it makes its way into a set list, a classic Revelator song.
Yeah, and it is like, I mean, it's a ballad necessarily because it's more powerful than that, but it's like you can't help but like, when Susan's bouncing it out to that.
Powerful.
Yeah, I was actually like sprinting back in. I was caught up at the table talking to somebody, and like I heard Until You Remember, and I was like sprinting back to my seat, and I like, and then I was just locked in for the rest of the song when that came on.
Yeah, I would call it a ballad, but it's such a. I love the structure of the song. How again, like a lot of the songs that they just build, there's just such a narrative to them and such a method to the madness and again, for like a 12-piece band, as past guests have described, and then myself too, just like everything is so tight as well, and when it needs to be.
That's such a powerful vocal delivery by Susan in that song,
Yeah, no, for sure. And then to contrast with the ballad, we get into the more the upbeat rock and Signs. I like how the vocal interplay on that song especially is cool. How they're trading not even verses, but literally lines back and forth. And I love how I think that's the first song on Signs, the album itself. So like you're like within 30 seconds, you like are hearing everyone from TTB. Like I think by the time you hit like the chorus or by the end of the first chorus, you've heard all 5. Or all the vocalists I think basically get,
Yeah.
Well, I guess that was pre-Gabe, but at the harmony vocalists, nevertheless. But yeah, it's cool to see that back in the fold. You were there, Kelly.
I was, and I'm sorry. Like I I should have taken notes.
Nah, it's all good.
You got a soul sacrifice after that. I Want More, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't know why that's not.
Yeah, they haven't. There's been a
Goes
couple
without
times.
saying, maybe.
That was one of those moments where everybody in the
without
crowd, got like, oh, they kind of realize what's happening, and then they get more excited. Like so often it happens.
Yeah, no, I don't always remember or take notes or remember every detail, but you remember how the song made you feel. You remember how the show made you feel.
I spent the whole second half, and I don't know if it was, such a positive experience from the Made Up Minds table combined with the way the band was just knocking it out of the park. But I spent the whole second set with just a giant grin on my face. And I was all the way on the side of the theater, which I didn't mind because I had like the end seat, so I could kind of stand and put my arm up on the pillar and just the whole time, just like a big dumb idiot, mouth gaping wide open, soaking it all in.
Yeah, we did get a soul sacrifice according to setlist.fm with I Want More. I again, it probably goes without saying, especially lately. Yeah, no, you got everything in this set list. Do I Look Worried? Classic TTB song, Midnight
They
in
do. What
Harlem.
they did something out of Angel from Montgomery, didn't they? They do Sugaree or something.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray is also on setlist.fm.
Yeah, and that was great. I mean, the whole theater was singing along with the majority of that, stuff, which is, I don't know. I don't get to experience, or I haven't experienced sing-alongs that often at TTB shows. So I heard people's voices around me going up, and I was like, oh, I can dig this. Like, this is great. I'm loving this right now. People are into it.
Yeah, it's one of the few songs in some regard that's sing-along-y in a lot of ways. For I guess it's a Grateful Dead cover, iconic song in that sense. But maybe that's kind of a good thing in a way that TTB is not too sing-along-y, because who wants to hear me? Who wants to hear
I've seen them. They do Helpless sometimes out of that too, which I prefer. I don't know. I have a hard time with anybody else singing Jerry Garcia's songs.
Oh yeah, you coming from that? That's your people. That's
and
your
and the mindless sing-alongs, But I mean, I don't know. People love it, and who am I to, criticize, right?
Right. I think the band loves when they go into a Grateful Dead song and that you hear that pop and you know immediately who are the Grateful Dead fans, who are the hardcore Allman Brothers fans, and that adds a unique element of history and legacy and shout out to the music's past for sure. Midnight in Harlem was probably awesome, I assume, as well.
Yeah, and I guess I just almost expect that at every show.
As you should.
Yeah, it's like old reliable. Like I know it's gonna be blow away. One of those things again where I'm not anxious waiting for what's happening next. I just really get to soak it in and be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Got a comment here from Dan Leftwich. Courage Kelly, way to go. So you got a lot of support. You got to keep going with this. Good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I have any choice now. The trains are rolling, and I'm in the front, I guess. So
yeah, you're doing it. You're making it happen. Anything else about set 2 or the evening, the weekend? I'll let you guys both kind of have the floor.
I don't know. It was somehow, like what I expected set list wise and performance wise, but also exceeded expectations. Again, I feel that way leaving every show, and I'm not the only one saying it. Lots of people, overhearing conversations around, everyone's like, they seem to be like getting better somehow. They were already so good, but like they're still improving. Like the songs keep sounding better. You look at Susan's stuff from 98 that she's playing now, and normally if I go to see a band that had a big album in 98 and they're doing with songs from that album today, this past weekend, and I'll be like, oh good, they still have it, right? They can still do this song that was big in 98. Susan's doing it better. the band is doing their old stuff better than they used to do it. So
For me,
it's
when I see a band, that comes out and is flogging some 1998 album, I think of them as like a nostalgia act. But that's not like when they play one of their old things. You hit the nail on the head, Kelly. It's like it's better. They've refined it. It's musically, more intricate. It's just a great band.
Yeah, you hear, I mean, well, all over any of the groups online, people are like, man, they're really dialed in right now. Like I feel like we say that after almost every run, or at least I see it. But, to be there and to experience and to feel it, and, Midnight in Harlem that I look forward to at every show that I go to. And somehow they're still doing it better than they did the last time that I saw them. It's really special and it's really neat. And I was super grateful to be there. Even when, people are chattering and other people I could see are looking back and getting angry. And I was just happy to be there and experience that and not sitting and waiting for somebody to release their taping. Like I'm here and I don't care that these people are pissed off around me. Like I'm in the room and I could see it.
My shout out goes to the venue. I walked in there and it's like, oh man, it's an MSG venue. I have issues with that. I won't get into whatever, but they were just so helpful setting up the table. And, as Kelly said, we walked in there and they knew more about it than we did. And they could have been more accommodating and, were really helpful. And we couldn't believe we got a table and we started putting stuff on it. And they're like, wait, they're coming with a tablecloth for you, and it's like, it was awesome.
Bob, we were joking. We had originally started kind of setting up downstairs. Bob and I looked around and we're like, oh, here's the bench area. This is fine. And like the manager came up and he's like, I'm actually going to have you guys move upstairs. And we're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like we don't want to step on any toes. He moves up upstairs and we had left a sign down there. And he comes up and he's like, oh, here's your sign too. And I didn't know if he was like passively aggressing us, being like telling us like, don't leave your stuff downstairs too, because we kind of wrote like mezzanine on the sign. And he was like, unless you wanted it down there to point people up. And we're like, yeah, if we can. He's like, absolutely. And I found out last night he covered up the women's bathroom sign with that sign.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because people were coming up to me the whole weekend when I was at the table to ask me where the women's bathroom was. So last night, I ran down in between songs and I was, turn all the stuff off so that I was very welcomed back next weekend. And I took it off and I saw the women's bathroom sign. I busted out laughing and one of the ushers was there and she started laughing too. I'm like, have people been asking you where the bathroom is too this whole week? Because now we know why. My sign was covering it. I'm sorry. But it wasn't us. It was the guy working at the venue.
The super helpful building management people.
That's really helpful. I'm going to bring in Richard Dunham. He's going to join us for a few minutes.
Yeah.
He was there. He was definitely there last night. So let's bring.
Yeah, bail me out, Richard. Let's hear it.
Hey guys, there he is. How are you doing, my friend?
Me.
Good to meet you.
I did want to clear up. So I'm a very amateur taper. So I'm not the guy with the Newmans. My recordings were made with this phone.
Oh, cut it out.
Yes, this is like. It's an LG V20, so I guess it was kind of made and marketed as an audiophile phone, so it does make pretty good recordings. But if you listen to my recordings, they're a little bit rougher. They get a little bit distorted in the if things get loud. But it's kind of like I think hopefully it gives you a feel of what it's like to be in the balcony, and when things get loud, that they're getting loud. So. But I figured, if I posted those, that'll hold everybody over until Taper Joe, who's the real king of the Chicago TTB taping, until he posts his stuff. And I think he's posting it like today. So
yeah.
Oh,
I think
he's
got new microphones. I think last year he was using Sennheisers, and this year he's using these Neumann Cam 184 cardioids, which are really fine microphone.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys are heroes. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, this other dude who you just mentioned. I appreciate that for sure. Were you there Friday night also?
Yeah, I was there both nights, and I did. I noticed. I saw the table, Kelly, and I appreciated that because I used to go to the Wharf Rat table in back in the '90s at the Dead. So I was happy to see those. You know, you see that at every other. A lot of bands have that, like
Right.
even Ween shows, and it's always it's always interesting to see like what the name of the group is. I think you Made Up Mind is a great name for it because I
Great
was
name, Kelly.
listening to that in the encore the first night, and a couple of those lyrics really spoke to me. You know, licking my finger, turning the page.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so it was
They
great.
did it for you. They knew.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just say yes. It was for our group. Guys,
You'll take it.
I'll try to find out. Maybe there might. You never know. You never know. Sometimes I feel like David Flam and his wife Ann. They wear the T-shirts with the words on them. I think the band has seen a couple of those shirts and like we're gonna change it and do this song because with this lyric reminded us somebody's shirt. A fan asked for something. So I think once in a while fans do impact a set list.
Yeah.
I think it's happened. But you had a great time this weekend, Richard. Overall.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was. You guys were talking about how they're getting better. The thing that impresses me about this band is the way that, they've gone through some personnel changes in the past few years, and just the way that they were able to integrate new members and kind of bring them along, and just seeing how especially the bassist, like he really came into his own. I think
Brandon.
he was a little bit. He seemed to be a little bit timid, like the first year that I saw him, but he's really holding it down now. And the new drummer is great, and of course
Isaac.
Gabe. What can you say about Gabe? He's got some big shoes to fill, but he's definitely. I mean, he's bringing a lot. He's bringing all of his stuff too.
He's not trying to fill him, which is
Yeah.
what
Right.
I really love. He's just being himself, man, and he's a major talent for sure. But anybody who goes to try to fill the void that Kofi left is doomed for failure.
I do feel like, though, and I've mentioned this on the shows, that I feel like with the lineup seemingly set for the foreseeable future and everything going well, at least for the band from afar, as far as we the fans see and hear, I feel like we're in a golden age of Tedeschi Trucks Band. We're in like this sort of golden age where this is the lineup. They know themselves, they know their sound, but they're also open to new possibilities. And obviously there were a ton of exploration done and musically with the I Am the Moon songs. But like, yeah, I think we're in like a golden age for this band, it seems like.
But
Yeah.
and they're letting everybody off the leash too. And like,
Yeah.
Wayne Shorter dies and bang, they're ready with Footprints right away. And that's the horn guys, Kebby and Ephraim and Elizabeth and they know this. They were ready for that stuff before, they didn't even have to look that stuff up. They were ready. And I love that now they're doing Freddie Hubbard's Mr. Clean out of Stand Back, which is phenomenal. It's a perfect medley. And what popular band are you going to see that integrates, Wayne Shorter or Freddie Hubbard, into their set list like that? And and of course they let Gabe off the hook all the time. And
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
on the instrumental breaks and stuff. And he's great. Love the band.
I mean,
great.
with the the songwriting that they did over COVID, it's just the way that they kind of take anything that life throws, the changes that life throws at them, and kind of uses that to grow musically. It's impressive, right? And it's inspirational as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember what interview it was that I heard Derek on, but he was kind of talking about how it was almost like a rebirth for the band, during lockdown. After Mike pitched, his thing to them, and they all sat with it and came up with what they were doing. And it's not that they changed course, but kind of like dialed in a little bit more. And you can feel it at the shows.
It seems like they fell in love again with like songwriting and the songwriting process and that creative process a lot, and perhaps even so much so that I do have heard and read that, you know, some of the touring may be cut back a little bit in the coming year and years, but maybe in favor of more songs and more songwriting and more original material, and perhaps even more solo projects and other projects. But we'll see on those things.
Yeah, I was upset, you know, in 2020 when I didn't get to go to any TTB shows, but to come out of it with an album like I Am the Moon, I'd be willing to sacrifice every once in a while. And it's more of an excuse now, you know, when I have 6 shows booked in the beginning of the year, I'm like, but we don't know if they're always going to be touring like this, so I have to take advantage. You know, it's not a guaranteed thing that I'm going to be able to drive to 6 shows next year. So
we keep telling our spouses that, right, Kelly?
yeah, whatever, you know, I'll think of
It's gonna
something.
be forever.
Yeah, for each round, I'll think of another reason.
For the audio listeners, Bob was gesturing while Kelly was talking, basically conveying, "Don't slow down touring." Essentially, is
Totally.
what I got of it. Keep doing more shows, more
exactly.
near me, as many as possible.
That's it.
Mrs. Bob Hundertmark, she can handle it. She can take it. So give me as many shows as you can, says Bob with
Set 'em up,
so
keep
many
'em
words
coming.
and no words. What about, how did you get connected to TTB, Richard, and discover this band and
So I
Derek
like
and Susan?
as I mentioned, I was a deadhead going back to the 90s, and now I'm a big Fish fan. So that's what it. So I think just being in that scene, I heard about the band and just kind of I went to I think the Chicago Theater show that they released as one of their live albums. I think that was my first show, and was really impressed. And so, starting in 2020, January 2020, I tried to do each time they come to the Chicago Theater, I try to do the residency. But I first saw Derek back in the 90s, maybe 93 or 95. I went to see Aquarium Rescue Unit at the Lounge Acts in Chicago, a very tiny little club that's long gone now. So I was there to see, Colonel Bruce Hampton and O'Teal, and the original Aquarium Rescue Unit guys. And then in the middle of the show, Colonel Bruce says, "Hey, I'd like to bring out this 13-year-old wonder kid, Derek Trucks." And my initial thought was, man, I came to see Aquarium Rescue Unit. I don't want to see some kid. And then he started playing, and I was like, what is going on? Blew me away. Yeah. So that was the first time I saw him. So I kind of was aware of him, but I didn't hook back up with them until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
I mean, I've heard so many stories that are quite similar to yours. Seeing young Derek, and then being like, "Whoa, what is this?" and being totally floored. Like, you are not the first person to have that origin story, so to speak. Cool. Well, I mean, he joined us a little later, but what else? Anything you want to talk about, Richard? Highlights or things that jumped out at you from the weekend? You're going in 2 weeks as well. It sounds like you're going as well, Kelly, to both shows as well, and you too, Richard.
Yeah. So I mean, it's always great to get Walk on Gilded Splinters as a favorite. I was really the Outside Woman Blues really struck me that the two of them are both powerhouses on the guitar in their own way, and that tune, or that performance of that tune the other night really showed that. I mean, it was like two diesel trains just kind of running through the auditorium. That was a lot of energy for that tune. So that really stood out to me. And it's always like, I have to say that as a deadhead, I prefer the Sugary rather than the Helpless. So I was happy to see that come back. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear when they play Outside Woman Blues, I hear fire coming out of their guitars when I'm listening to it. I really like picture almost like they're like literally on fire. Like the
Yeah.
music is just it's such an explosive, like powerful sound. Both of them individually, both of them together. I'm pulling up my calendar to think about looking forward to looking ahead to the next couple of Chicago shows.
Yeah,
April
maybe
1st.
maybe
So
you could confirm, Richard. During Outside Woman Blues, Derek always has just like a calm, composed face when he's playing, and that was like the one time in the weekend where I really know. I mean, his face was almost getting like cherry red, like I could almost see a vein, like it was really all going into it, and you never see that from him, even when he's like, even when the guitar's on fire, you know, he's kind of chill with his face, facial expression, and during that performance, I was like, oh wow, like I'd wish I'd had my camera out.
I think there was one of the songs after that, maybe it was Shame, where Susan had put her guitar down. So it was one of the songs where she was just on vocals, but she did a little bit of like an air guitar for some of Derek's solos.
You had to get the leg up there somehow.
Yeah.
yeah, when that leg goes up, you know things are getting serious. I'll see you guys April 2nd on perhaps another live stream if you're so gracious to join me, Kelly and Richard, to recap round 2 if you guys are down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I can be better prepared.
That's all good. Me too. I could get more pictures of the venue and things, and maybe do some research about the venue, and then I could tell you in 1933 Charlie Chaplin did it, whatever the hell.
But there's an Al Capone link somewhere there.
Right. Well, yeah, my Chicago gangster.
Yeah, and there is a
historical
bunch.
research.
There's a bunch of stuff on the lowest level. You know, a bunch of not artifacts necessarily, but you know, placards and pictures and stuff. And I'm mostly all my free time, you know, at the venue right now is going to be spent at the table and kind of networking and trying to talk to folks. But maybe I'll snap a picture when I run down to use the bathroom, and I can bring it on the 2nd.
Oh, it's all good. I appreciate it all. I appreciate the time, the stories, the recaps. And like I was telling Kelly and Bob, I think before we started, like I was saying, by the end of these conversations, I'm going to feel like I was at the shows. And I kind of do feel like I kind of had the experience. And even now, if I'm going to dig deeper and just to glance at more photos of the show and more videos, and of course dive into Richard's audio from night 2 and finish that show, like, I'm gonna feel like I was there, and that's like kind of the inspiration for doing more of these recaps for me, is to like the best I can recreate the experience of actually like being there. Like too much FOMO, too much fear of missing out, too much all that stuff. It's like this is kind of like the antidote, at least for me. This is like personal, selfish for me to like, you know, feel like I was there, and I think this will like sustain me, like. Because obviously West Coast gets the short end of the stick concert-wise, and I do not have anything planned immediately for a TTB-wise for shows. So this is good for me, and the tapes and the audio is definitely appreciated from you guys. On that note, anything else you guys want to mention about the shows or plug or promote? I'll give you guys the floor to do that. Made Up Minds, the Facebook group, search for that. Kelly, is there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I mean, if there's anybody that's listening that's not on Facebook and they want to email the madeupmindstTB@gmail, especially if they want to kind of get a table going, you know, obviously have to have any experience doing it, because I didn't. So I know there's a couple shows coming up that I'm not going to be at. So yeah, go ahead and email me if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing people and building more community 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, this is going to grow, and again, that is appreciated. This venture, it's an important one. Bob, what you got?
Nothing. I'm just sitting back. My next show is Saratoga, so see all
When is that one?
July 3rd, I think.
July 3rd.
Richard will be my triumphant return to Saratoga. I saw the Dead there in '83 and '85.
For Grateful Dead?
Yeah.
Nice.
That was those were a couple of shows, man, that '83, the Scarlet Begonias. Look that one up.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm writing you down July 3rd, Saratoga. I'm going to be recapping as many as I can. I got someone down here for Toronto. I got all kinds of
The
stuff
Boston
here.
run.
What about you, Richard? Any thing you want to mention about one last time about this weekend, or anything you want to plug or promote?
No, I just, I mean, if you want to check out some other stuff I do, I have a website, dunhamrc.com, do some kind of unrelated stuff, but, I would say go to archive.org, dig in.
I'm going to.
Go in. I've been, I've dug into a little bit of the Derek Trucks Band shows that are on there.
Oh yeah, there's a million of those too.
Millions of stuff.
There's a great Derek Trucks show. I patched from this guy Jim Rehill, and he did an on-the-fly soundboard matrix. The soundboard guy hooked us up, and Jim's came 184s, those Neumanns, and so there's a Somerville Theater. If you look under my name, if you can like click on the tapers. So there's an outstanding sounding soundboard audio matrix there. And I also did one in like 1999. The Derek Trucks Band did a midnight show. Actually, I think it was more like 1 a.m. In New York City after the Allman Brothers. So he did two sets with the Allman Brothers, and then went downtown and played a club. Played a couple of clubs throughout that run, and I went to the Mercury Lounge. It's pretty good. It's a good recording up there. So
there you go, and I'll be checking out that '83 TED show.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Morning Dew to die for in that. Yeah. So.
Cool. Well, all right, thank you. I appreciate it all. I'm gonna boot you guys out. I'll do my little outro, and then we could talk a little longer if you want. Post show, but other than that, again, thank you so much. Great stuff all around. Thank you for the audio. Thank you, Kelly, for the time, the stories, the recap, the Made Up Minds venture. It is a great thing you're doing. But yeah, I'll talk soon to you guys for sure. Take it easy.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.
So there you go. Episode 108, recapping Tedeschi Trucks Band at the Chicago Theater. Was it March 17th and 18th? Today is the 19th. That was a fun recap for sure. I appreciate Richard. I appreciate Kelly. I appreciate Bob. The recordings, I keep repeating myself, but it does really mean a lot to me, as does, of course, all the music and Tedeschi Trucks Band themselves. Hope everyone is doing okay out there. Please check out Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. Subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. I'll be putting out an audio version of this episode. Hopefully get that out in the next couple of days or so, if not sooner. Get some video clips out as well. I'll catch up on that too. Positive reviews on Apple Podcasts are appreciated. Please subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate that. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow me. AdamChoit.com, links to my link tree. TedeschiTrucksPodcast.com, links to my Tedeschi Trucks Podcast link tree for all things related to this show. TedeschiTrucksBand.com, that's a great place to find all things Tedeschi Trucks Band. It's their official website. Buy merch, buy tickets to shows, join the Swamp family. Get active in the forum. I should probably post more in there. Come to think of it, but TedeschiTrucksBand.com, that's their official website. But I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate everyone listening. Lots more great stuff to come. I'm going to get another episode coming out this week. I got something already in the can, something special and fun that I think you guys are going to appreciate. I'll try to get another recap. I know the band has 3 shows this week, so maybe I'll recap as many of them as I can. We'll see how that goes. But on that note, everyone, enjoy your evening, and let's talk soon. Peace.